Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and do the steering wheel on this car, put in that aftermarket one up there. It's pretty simple. You take off these covers right here. There's one on each side. They're just up in there on the steering wheel, and then they have right here is a little spot that you can put a screwdriver on to pry it off. It just pries right off. Falls out. There's one on this side as well. And then you gotta take out the horn, which involves this this bit here. You gotta make sure you get the hollow one, the safety ones, and then it just goes in there. This is a T30. I already have it loosened up, but you just loosen them up, unscrew them. There goes one. Get around to this one. Okay. And I'm not left-handed, so this might be a little bit weird. So it's pretty loose. Really difficult being on the wrong hand. And they're very tight, like they almost have like a thread lock on them, so they're kind of tight in there. So they come out a little bit difficult, not easy like the whole entire way. And then the horn just pulls out. Of course, it's connected still. So right here is a connection. Let me see. So I pulled that out. Let's see how this is connected. Alright, so you can see it going back there to that. Let me get my light and a little pry bar or something, a little screwdriver probably get up in there. Okay, if you go over here to this, unplug this one, the plug of course, I already had that unplugged, and then you got this connector, that's where it's actually the problem. So if you just push down on it, it'll come out of that little plastic holder there. Okay, so it just pushed down out of there and it's disconnected. So it was just in this little plastic holder right there. So now you can pull that through underneath and the horn comes out. Okay. So put that over there for right now. Next, we're gonna go ahead and break this loose. This little nut in the middle. As you can see on it, a lot of cars do this nowadays, the newer ones. It has a little notch on it, right there. So that way whenever you put a new steering wheel on or you put the steering wheel back on, it'll have a notch behind the nut to line it up so that you don't need a new alignment whenever you put a new steering wheel on. It won't be off. It'll be exactly where you had it before. So make sure you keep notes or take a look at that after you break it loose. Whenever you go to put a new one on, watch for that notch there so you can make sure it's in the same spot. Let me go get some sockets now to get that off. Okay, it's a 19mm. I got on this huge long Harbor Freight extendable breaker bar that's ratcheting. It just goes on there. And once you have it on there, you just loosen up. It's not that difficult. It has a little bit of resistance, but it breaks loose pretty easy. And then once it's just broke loose, it'll just by hand unscrew a little bit, but not too much. So put this back on here, make it shorter. It's not crazy long. Now after we get this nut out, it's the part of getting the steering wheel off. Now, some people use tools for that. Some people just wiggle it towards you. We're gonna see how it does on this one. So far everything's been pretty easy on this car, so I wouldn't doubt if it'd be easy as well. Now, like I said with that, let me go get a light. Hang on. Okay, as you can see, shoot, like I said before, there's a notch on the steering wheel, on the center shaft right there, steering shaft, whatever you want to call it, and there's also one behind it. So make sure those line up. You put the new steering wheel on, just make sure they line up. If you're going to put the factory one on, in my case, I'm doing aftermarket, so it doesn't really matter. All I gotta do is make sure that the new steering wheel is going to be in the same position as this steering wheel, so I'm going to put it straight up before I put on the new one. Of course, mine got an issue with there's going to be splines involved, there's going to be 6-bolt pattern involved, so I'm going to put the 6-bolt pattern on first, put the steering wheel on the hub, and then lay it in there to a certain position that fits the same way this one did. And then that should line it up pretty good. So give me a few minutes, I'm going to try to just wiggle this one off. Let's see if it just comes off the way it should, or if it's going to fight me like they usually do. Just go back and forth. Yep, came right off. Okay, so that came right off. Then we have another wire here. Can unplug that. And then it has this ground wire here. Let's see. I don't really need a ground wire on here. Which unplugs from this. Alright. So, as you can see here, this is all for the horn, the airbag, all that fun stuff. And I have one wire still stuck in here. I like to not cut stuff. I'm going to keep it semi-original, so just going to unplug that. Keep that all together. And I have this here with this beautiful little spinny wheel, which I don't really need either, so I'm going to be able to get rid of that as well. Give me a few minutes. I'm going to put this aside. And just so you know, I put the steering wheel in the upright position so that it should be all lined up whenever I put the aftermarket one on it. Of course, I'm going to get the car aligned at some point here again, so that doesn't really matter too much, but at least it'll be sort of semi-straight up whenever I'm back together with my aftermarket one. Okay, so I got the steering wheel out and all back together. I'm going to try taking this thing out. I believe these little white pieces get lifted up. Just pry them out, and then maybe this thing will slide out. Let me see if that is possible. Okay, so that just popped out, and we got this roll of wiring. So I'm going to turn it back up and try to get the rest of that out too then. So that's what it looks like. I'm going to roll it back up in there, hopefully stick it back in. So I'm going to take this cover off to see if I can actually just unbolt it, because it should have probably did it to begin with, but I don't have patience, so I'm just going to take this apart real quick and see if should have some screws or something to possibly just unbolt it. One screw, got the other screw from this side, and then there possibly is another one underneath. Yeah, back here, another one. Alright, let's see if we can pop this out. Okay, so I got a total of 5. Can't really see too good under there. One here, Phillips, one there on that end, and then there's 2 more up under here, right here, and right here. So you got the ends, corners, and there, and there was one in the back there. So this just pops out. The top always just comes right off, and the bottom you got to worry about getting around the key slot. So this little ring comes out from the key holder, and the rest of it just pulls down. I'm just going to leave it dangle there. And then it looks like this comes off with these screws. So I'm going to see about unscrewing that and see if it pops out. Okay, so you unscrew it, and of course it's not going to come right off. It's got a harness plugged into it. So we need to unplug this harness. Of course it's a weird looking guy. It's got a little pin in there. So I'm going to try to see about removing this. And it goes back in there. Alright. Okay, whenever you want to remove this, you can just slide this over. Then you can get to the pin there. Then I'm going to take a screwdriver and poke that little yellow thing in there. And then it will come out. That shouldn't be an issue. Let me see if I can do this with 2 hands or not. Hang on, I gotta get my other hand going. Okay, so once you push in on that tab, it does just slide out. It was in there like that. You just go through this window right here with your screwdriver, and it pulls right out. Close that back up. I'm gonna just tuck that under there. I'm gonna put this mess back together too. Okay, so that's as far as we got, and I'm gonna put the screws back in there too, just to keep them in there. It's not a problem. Okay, so after I get everything out of the way, I'm gonna put this bottom trim back on. We'll screw some screws up in the bottom here so that it can hold itself back up. Let's see where that one's going. It's going to the inside right here. So it holds it up. So I snugged it. It's pretty tight. Then I'll go ahead and put the top on. And there's like little spots you can see that it got to fit in. Everything will just go ahead together like that. Then sort of takes 2 hands, but that side's in. Put some more screws in here so it's all back together. And go ahead and put my little hub adapter on. Like I said, I'm going to put the steering wheel on the hub adapter so I know that it's lined up correctly the way I want it, so it's like the old one. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, so I put the hub. This is an aluminum hub I just got off eBay. You can get the normal ones with the slide over, the big little cover that goes on it, so it'll take care of the big hole in your steering wheel column there. But I just like this nice solid aluminum one that I got there. It has a little hole there if you want to run the wire for the horn. I'm not worried about that right now today. And I got this this Royal steering wheel. Sorry, it's not too clean, but I can clean it up whenever I want. I put that together, and now I'm just gonna put it over and on. And like I said, I positioned it so it should be pretty straight right now. So as long as I get the splines lined up, that's why I put the steering wheel on the hub first, is so I know where it sits in the car. I might change this later to black, but for right now it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put this together and see how it looks. Okay, so I got it in there, it's upright. Just gonna tighten her down now. Okay, so that's the final result. Not too bad. It's a little different and definitely a little bit off compared to the rest of the car. Doesn't really match anything. Like I said, I might get a black leather for in there, but that's easy to change later. And then you can see the hub there. It's got a little room in there, but that's fine. Some people put quick releases. I like how this is right there, so I can just go ahead and do my turn signals and then you know, do my wipers if I have to, just right off the steering wheel. If you have a quick release, it'll be out further and you sort of have to reach over the steering wheel and do it, but it's fine for now. I might get a little horn button in there. I don't like the grip royals that come with it, just the GR one, so I'll probably go ahead and update that. So that's what she looks like. That's how it's gonna be for now. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching and you have a good day.